Why should you work to do everything in your power to put your type 2 diabetes into remission? It is the only lifestyle disease that can render you blind, cause you to have your limbs amputated, and require daily medication for the rest of your life simply to maintain basic bodily functions. So if that's not enough of a reason, I've got 5 more for you inside of this video. And if you stay to the end, I will prove to you how a current medication prescribed to millions, including diabetics, can most definitely kill you. It's the first side effect listed on the box, and we aren't even paying attention. You're not going to want to miss this. We need to wake up and realize we are the only ones who can fix this. Okay, so the first myth-busting excuse comes straight from a Harvard study linking diabetes and dementia and Alzheimer's. This is the study right here. I'll link it below so you can do some of the research yourself. But I want to read to you straight out of the study one of the most important paragraphs. And it says, indeed, Alzheimer's disease has even been called type 3 diabetes because of shared molecular and cellular features among diabetes and Alzheimer's. In other words, whereas insulin resistance in the body can lead to type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance in the brain leads to the plaques and tangles of Alzheimer's disease. So if that's not enough just out the gate to get you thinking about what we're going to need to do to pretty much put our diabetes fully into remission, there's 4 more coming, but that one's pretty serious. The second excuse buster when it comes to actually making a decision to change our lifestyle comes down to neuropathy and diabetic retinopathy. Neuropathy is the killing of our nerve endings as a result of blood pressure and blood flow problems related to diabetes. And diabetic retinopathy is very similar in that it's the blood vessels in the eye that begin to have impact and we eventually go blind. Suffice it to say, 2 common known issues of diabetes is amputations directly related to neuropathy and then losing our eyesight due to diabetic retinopathy. And all we have to do to correct that, move more, eat right, and take the medicines that we're supposed to be taking. All right, the third excuse buster has to do with our kidneys. Now, the World Health Organization has published studies that state that 50% of all type 2 diabetics at some point in their life journey will experience debilitating kidney disorders, typically resulting in end-stage renal failure, which means you die of kidney disease. The kidneys can no longer process the waste products in our body properly because of diabetes. Now, we can avoid that, again, by taking the medicines we need to take to get started and then changing what we need to change in our lifestyle, both diet and exercise, to make sure that we can minimize those pharmaceuticals or eliminate them on the journey to getting diabetes put into remission. All right, your fourth excuse buster is that there's no reason for us not to take the steps necessary to manage our health, only to leave it in the hands of someone else. And if you're not following the news, NBC recently published a story about a nurse named Heather Presby that killed 17 diabetic patients by either withholding or over-injecting them with insulin because she just didn't like people with diabetes, apparently. Now, I know that's an exaggeration of what can happen long term, but if we can avoid putting our health into the hands of someone else simply because we don't have the discipline necessary to not eat certain foods or to go outside and get some exercise or go to the gym and start lifting weights, the end result of all of that is our bodies get to the point where we can't take care of them ourselves anymore. Someone else has to do that for us. And in most cases, they're not going to care for us as much as we might hope that they would. Excuse buster number 5. And we're going to leave this one up to the experts. Alexa, what's the average lifespan of a type 2 diabetic?
From medicinenet.com. In U.S. population data, people diagnosed with type 2 diabetes at 30, 40 and 50 years of age died on average about 14, 10 and 6 years earlier, respectively, than those without the condition.
There are other reports that, depending on when you're diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, I will link all of them below so you can do the research yourself if you don't believe me. The average lifespan of a type 2 diabetic in the United States is 63 years old. And yes, there are cases of type 2 diabetics that have lived far longer, and there are also diabetics who have died much younger. The bottom line is, if we don't get this disease under control through diet and exercise, you're gonna die early. And it's gonna be the junk we put in our mouths and the lack of discipline to get exercise that's gonna cost us those extra years of life. And I don't know what you want to do with your extra years, but I want to see my family grow and expand. I have other things that I want to achieve both in my personal life and my business life, and I don't want a piece of cake or a pizza to cut that short. That's just me. Like I hinted at in the beginning, there's a blockbuster medication on the market that's being hyped by pretty much everyone in Hollywood and now being peddled by every boutique med spa known to man, and that's Ozempic. I'm doing a full video on Ozempic and its peers of medicines known as GLP-1s and what they do inside the body, how they work. That's coming soon. But here's a brief overview. Starting off as a critical drug for type 2 diabetics, as an aid for controlling blood sugar, the common outcome of losing 10 to 12 pounds has become the only headline about these medicines. And as such, it's starting to be trumpeted as some miracle weight loss solution, prompting people with no known diabetic diagnosis to start using the medication, limiting the availability to the patients it was originally intended for, and driving the price of the drug to insane heights. But there is a catch. The most common side effect, and the first one listed on the drug interaction document that comes with every single dose, is pancreatitis, a potentially life-threatening illness for the healthy and a for certain visit to the ICU and even the morgue for a diabetic, should they develop it. And this isn't a situation of, I know a guy who, or I heard about, or I read this article about, etc. I want you to pay close attention here. I am that patient. As a result of my own necrotizing pancreatitis in February of 2022, I spent 2 months in an ICU and another 2 months with in-home nursing, occupational therapy, and physical therapy. Due to my illness, I ended up losing 80 pounds, had a partial pancreatectomy, 2 life-saving operations, a perforated bowel leading to sepsis, contracted a MRSA infection during the first operation, and spent the better portion of that year either in a wheelchair or on a walker relearning how to move. I can assure you, this class of medications is not a miracle solution for weight loss. A far greater solution does exist, and it resides in the contents of your fork as it travels the distance from your plate to your mouth, or even now from the seat you're watching this from to the outdoors so you can get a walk in, or even to the gym. Better stated, you are the best prescription for eliminating your type 2 diabetes and getting your health, where you can look forward to a medicine-free, long, and fit life. So there you have it. 5 excuse-busting critical reasons why you need to take charge of your health journey and putting diabetes into remission. Plus, a little bit of a hint that the medicines we're using to mitigate diabetes can actually kill us, and more on that story is going to be coming up. So you might be wondering what tools you're going to need to begin this journey. And I've got a video that goes into some pretty extensive detail on my #1 tool. If you just click here, you can see. In the meantime, if any of this information in the video has been helpful to you, please give it a like. And if you know someone that could benefit from this information, by all means, share it with them. And also make sure you comment below on some of the reasons why you're taking charge of your health and your diabetes. And if you subscribe, you might see some of those reasons become the topic of another video. And as always, keep your blood sugar low, keep your spirits high, and I will see you next time.